Hey guys, it's your girl T, and I want to go ahead and shout out VQ Vons on Instagram. They're one of the first ones to send me this story. This story is really disturbing. It's going viral all over social media. It's about a young man. His name is Brryan Jackson. He's now 24. And 20-something years ago, his father, his biological father, injected him with HIV blood. His biological father worked in a laboratory facility where he dealt with blood and things like that. And he wanted to get out of paying child support. So he devised a plan to inject his son. And what happened is that Brryan had asthma, and he had an asthma attack, and he was in the hospital. And so his mom and dad, they weren't together, but she called the father to let the father know that the son was, really sick in the hospital if he wanted to come see him. So the father shows up, and, he's there for, I don't know, a half hour or so. Then he asks the mother to go get him a cup of coffee in the cafeteria. And so the mother goes. And while the mother's gone, the father then takes HIV-tainted blood and he injects it into his son's IV. And the baby got so sick after that, they didn't know what was wrong. It took them, I believe, a few months before they finally realized that this kid had full-blown AIDS. But the mother didn't have HIV. The father didn't have HIV. It wasn't until 1998 that they finally realized how sinister this man was, and that the father was one who injected the child with HIV. So the father was sentenced, and he's been in prison since 1998. Well, the reason why this story is back out again is because the father was facing, the possibility of parole. And so Brryan had to go and face his father after 20-something years to try and keep him locked up behind bars. I want you guys to go ahead and check out this news clip. It's from 2013. This is when the story first hit the internet. The story first came out in 2013. I want y'all to go ahead and watch this news clip really quick, and I'm going to come back with the rest of my commentary.
A story that made international headlines. A St. Louis area baby injected with the HIV-tainted blood by his father, who didn't want to pay child support. More than 20 years later, Brryan Jackson is amazed by his health, and he's managed to maintain a positive spirit and faith. Our Melanie Moon shows you how he's not playing the victim, but trying to help others.
That when God finally calls you, you're going to burn in hell for here to eternity.
Brryan's story seems unbelievable. In 1992, when he was just 11 months old, his father, a hospital technician, injected him with HIV-tainted blood. The goal was to kill Brryan so he could avoid paying child support.
Anybody in my condition would die within 3 months. The doctors gave me 5 months.
But Brryan has defied the odds, even after developing full-blown AIDS at the age of 5.
I went from being on the 23-year medication to just 1 pill a day now, and I'm undetectable. And my T-cell count has been up, giving me a 0% chance of passing on the virus.
But the road to get where he is now has been bumpy. When he was a toddler, the side effects of one of the many medications he was taking robbed him of 70% of his hearing. Brryan also says misinformation about his disease bred cruelty in the classroom. But today, at the age of 22, Brryan is not afraid and he's not angry. He has even forgiven his father, who could be released from prison in just a few years.
I think that there's salvation for everyone, and I find myself sometimes praying for my father's salvation.
Brryan credits his Christian faith for his positive attitude, and since his early teens, he has used his diagnosis to reach out to others, especially children. His work even caught the attention of the Nickelodeon channel, which honored him with its prestigious Halo Award.
Oh my goodness, it's Nick, yeah!
But he says there was a point in his life when he was suicidal.
I was in front of three knives one night. I was like, which one can cut deeper? Because I just wanted to end it right there. Why me? Why me? Why does this happen to me? What? Yeah, when it's not about that, it's about what you can give.
Brryan is still in college and is considering a career in church ministry or politics. He's even thought about attending medical school. For Fox 2 News, I'm Melanie Moon.
All right, so you guys just watched that news clip, and to me, Brryan is such a strong person. Like they said in the news clip, he's now a motivational speaker. So what ended up happening is that basically he was called to the parole hearing. He went with his mother. He said that, you know, the only reason why he even knew that was his father because he recognized him from the mugshot. But other than that, he has no connection to this man. He's since changed his last name because he was initially born Brryan Stewart Jr., named after his father. But last year, he changed his last name to Jackson, which is his mother's maiden name. So that's what he goes by now. But basically, he said that during the parole hearing, the father kept calling him son. He said that he thought to himself, he was like, you know, at what point in time have I ever been your son? You know, I'm the same son that you intentionally injected with HIV. You know, don't call me son. You know, so I definitely feel him on that. So anyways, after that initial parole hearing, he just found out that the father was denied parole for another 5 years. So he says that the verdict is very empowering, and he will be there in another 5 years when his father goes up for parole because he feels like his father should not be allowed out. While he forgives his father, he believes, you know, as a Christian in forgiveness, he also believes that you have to pay for the consequences. So, you know, kudos to Brryan for taking such a horrible negative situation and he turned it into something positive. You know, and we all know that back in the 90s, you know, when AIDS was first all over the mainstream media, you know, it was very rough. You know, people had it, you know, you were kind of shunned. And he said he was made fun of in school. He was called gay boy, even though he got this as a baby. He had never even had sex before. They were calling him AIDS boy. People were saying that if you make eye contact with him, you could get HIV. Like, there was so much misinformation in the 80s and 90s. It was just crazy.
Brryan's mother dealt with depression because she was a single mother caring for not only Brryan, but his siblings too.
I was needing to prepare myself for the fact that my son was going to die.
The disease affected the entire family. His siblings were also bullied by their peers and their parents.
His parents figured out that my older brother had HIV and AIDS, so they stopped letting me out their kid.
I've had to overcome bullying at school. There was verbal abuse to physical abuse. I was left out of birthday parties and social events. I realized that suffering produces perseverance, and perseverance produces character, and character produces hope. So all the suffering that we go through in life is to build the character of who we need to become, the unique individual we're called to be. And through that, we find hope in that. I realized it's not about what you can get in life, it's about what you can give. And I saw that I had a past that I can turn into a testimony. And that testimony can become my story, and I can offer that story of hope to somebody out there who needs to hear it more than I do.
Brryan is thinking of pursuing a career in politics, saying his ultimate goal is to be a voice for the voiceless. His father, who injected him with HIV, is currently serving life in prison for that crime.
So he went through a lot. If you guys all know the Ryan White story, Ryan White went through a lot as well. He was a teenager who was diagnosed with AIDS from having a blood transfusion, and he's seen as a hero, and he died at age 13. I remember us reading books on Ryan White when I was a kid. So he kind of went through the same thing Ryan White did. So, you know, the whole situation is just sad. You know, when I first heard this story, I honestly thought it was a joke at first. I thought it was just, you know, like, I thought it was like one of those spoof joke websites. And I'm like, there's no way her father could do that to a perfectly healthy child. Who on earth would even fathom something like this? So I initially thought it had to be a fake story. And then once I started investigating it, it's like, no, not only was it not fake, it was true. And this young man is a testimony, and he's still alive, and he's still trying to, you know, get his story out there. And, you know, the whole situation is crazy. It's just sad that somebody could be that evil because you don't want to pay child support. How about if you don't want to pay child support? How about not having sex? You know what I'm saying? How about using protection? How about not getting yourself in a situation to get a woman pregnant? You know, the whole situation is just sick, you know, so you feel like your son's life was not worth it. You'd rather have your son die than pay child support. It's just sickening, the whole reason behind this. I'm just glad that the father was caught, because if he could do this to his own child, don't get it twisted and think that he couldn't do this to a girlfriend or a significant other if he got pissed off at him. His father is definitely a sociopath. So anyways, y'all, let's go ahead and get the discussion popping. Go ahead and leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on this entire situation concerning Brryan Jackson. How did you feel when you first heard this story? And do you feel like his father should ever get out? You know, right now he's currently serving time in a Missouri corrections facility. Do you feel like he should ever get out? He's done like 20 years. You know, my personal opinion, AIDS is a lifetime sentence, so his father should be doing a lifetime sentence as well. I don't feel bad for this man. I'm glad his parole was denied, and I hope that Brryan continues to go to his parole hearings to make sure that his father never gets out, because to me, that man is a danger to society. So anyways, y'all, let's go ahead and get the discussion popping. Go ahead and leave a comment. All right, deuces. Hey you guys, it's your girl T. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share my videos. You can also visit Lovelyti.com to purchase any merchandise. Also, don't forget to click the boxes down below to watch any of my previous videos. Talk to y'all later. Deuces.